Today we will explore one of the most mysterious figures in the Bible, Melchizedek. Although he appears briefly, his impact is profound. He was mentioned thousands of years before Christ and has continued to be discussed for centuries. Who really was Melchizedek? Did he transcend time, or is he merely a spiritual symbol? Join us as we delve into what the Bible reveals to learn more about this mystery. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss more exciting discoveries. Melchizedek, whose name means King of Righteousness, is a unique figure in the Bible, surpassing traditional religious and political leadership archetypes. He does not conform to established norms, but instead becomes a unique symbol, opening profound perspectives on faith. When we study Melchizedek's story, each time he appears in the Bible feels like discovering a precious gem, offering fresh insights into this enigmatic figure. Melchizedek first appears in ancient times, about 2,000 years before Jesus, in an encounter with Abraham after a series of conflicts and victories. At that time, Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, returned from a challenging campaign where he and his loyal warriors pursued their daring enemies as far as Dan to reclaim the spoils. In the oak grove of Mamre, a survivor from the battle came with urgent news. Amid the tranquil setting of nature, the messenger hastily informed that Abraham's nephew Lot had been captured in the skirmish, along with his family and possessions, filling Abraham's eyes with worry and a resolute determination to act. This news ignited a fierce anger within Abraham, like a smoldering fire ready to erupt, urging him to act immediately. He immediately gathered his forces, leading his loyal soldiers on a perilous journey, pushing beyond familiar safety boundaries and confronting fears. With 318 trained warriors from his own household, Abraham led the group northward on an urgent journey, full of hope, with the sole aim of rescuing his nephew Lot before it was too late. When night fell, Abraham and his soldiers approached north of Damascus under a star-lit sky, launching a bold surprise attack on the enemy in their own territory. The clash of swords broke the stillness of the night. Battle cries echoed among the hills as Abraham and his soldiers fought with courage and determination. Victory was achieved in the darkness of the night, the sounds of battle silenced by the resolve and skill of Abraham and his warriors. The enemy was defeated, the captives freed, and amid the ruins of the battle a unique and transcendent encounter awaited Abraham. Abraham stood before a mysterious figure, a man radiating indescribable strength and peace as if surrounded by an aura. It was Melchizedek, the king of Salem, who suddenly emerged from the darkness of the night, his eyes glowing with a supernatural light. Melchizedek appears abruptly in the Bible, with no genealogy or clear origin, described only as the king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. The biblical text reveals no information about his ancestry or the path that led him to this position, making his appearance a great mystery, and his identity remains an unsolved enigma. The focus of the story is the encounter between Melchizedek and Abraham after the battle in which Abraham rescued his nephew Lot. Melchizedek approached Abraham with a steady stride, his powerful presence overwhelming the silence after the battle. In his hands were bread and wine, symbols of sustenance and covenant, bringing meaningful actions beyond words, reaching the depths of the human heart. Abraham, filled with reverence for this extraordinary encounter, knelt before Melchizedek, showing respect and acknowledging the greatness of this king and priest. With a gesture of honor and devotion, Abraham accepted the bread and wine from Melchizedek, symbols of blessing and sacred covenant. Then Melchizedek raised his hands to the heavens, blessing Abraham with powerful and profound words that transcended time and space, filled with divine authority and meaning. He acknowledged the blessing that God had bestowed upon Abraham, chosen as the beloved of the Most High God, a man bearing a mission that transcends human understanding. Blessed be Abraham by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. Genesis 14:19-20. In the presence of this sacred covenant and blessing, Abraham felt a profound call to gratitude and reverence. In a gesture of respect and submission, he gave Melchizedek a tenth of all the possessions he had gained in battle, acknowledging the spiritual authority and blessing that Melchizedek represented. This offering was not merely an act of material generosity, but an acknowledgement of the divine authority and blessing Melchizedek embodied. It was a gesture of submission and devotion, reflecting Abraham's deep faith and trust in the unfolding divine plan before him. The theological significance of Melchizedek in this context seems to transcend established norms within biblical tradition. He is described as a unique figure, combining the roles of king and priest, which contrasts with the clear division between religion and politics in contemporary cultures. In later Hebrew tradition, God prohibited the kings of Israel from holding the office of priest and vice versa. However, Melchizedek was a priest of the Most High God, without a direct connection to the people of Israel or the covenant later established with Abraham. This contrast highlights his uniqueness and the theological importance he brings. Melchizedek's presence before the covenant with Abraham implies that he is not bound by the laws and traditions of the Hebrew people, but instead represents the Most High God to all humanity. This makes him a universal and timeless figure, with a priestly role that transcends racial and cultural boundaries. Melchizedek is depicted as blessing Abraham, acknowledging him as an instrument of God, and bestowing upon him an important blessing after his victory in battle. This encounter between Melchizedek and Abraham underscores the spiritual authority and the role of the priest as an intermediary between humanity and God, even before the formal establishment of the Levitical priesthood. The second mention of Melchizedek, appearing about a millennium later, adds to the mystery surrounding him, reinforcing his image as a timeless and divine symbol beyond full understanding by reason. In it, David describes a scene where God the Lord invites another figure, also called Lord, to sit at his right hand, a position symbolizing supreme authority. This emphasizes the honor and power of the Messiah, transcending all earthly realities. Although the psalm does not directly mention Melchizedek, many theologians believe that the passage implicitly references the priestly role of Melchizedek. As both king and priest, Melchizedek becomes a pioneering model for the Messiah, representing an eternal office and authority that transcends time. Psalm 110, one of the most quoted and interpreted psalms in the Old Testament, provides a powerful and poetic vision of kingship and the priestly role of Christ. Just as Melchizedek blessed Abraham and received a tithe from him, Christ is exalted at the right hand of the Father, as the eternal high priest and king, interceding for believers and reigning over all creation. The connection between Melchizedek and the image of the Lord seated at God's right hand in Psalm 110 highlights the theological importance of Melchizedek as a prototype for Christ, whose presence foreshadowed Jesus' mission of redemption and exaltation. Melchizedek's dual role as king and priest foreshadows the image of Christ, who holds both eternal kingship and priesthood to carry out the work of salvation for humanity. The connection and similarities between Melchizedek and Jesus in the role of eternal high priest are intriguing and significant in biblical theology, leading many scholars to view Melchizedek as a prophetic model of Jesus. This approach not only highlights the uniqueness of Melchizedek, a mysterious figure in the Old Testament, but also sheds light on his prophetic nature, providing deeper insight into Jesus' redemptive role. Some scholars have suggested that Melchizedek may be connected with other biblical figures such as Noah, Seth, or even angels, due to the lack of genealogical information or origin. Melchizedek's mysterious appearance without a clear beginning or end in the Bible symbolizes eternity and uniqueness, reflecting the image of Jesus, who has no beginning and exists forever. The third mention of Melchizedek appears in the latter half of the 1st century after Jesus, when the author of the Epistle to the Hebrews delves into the theological meaning of Melchizedek to clarify Jesus' eternal priesthood. In this letter, Melchizedek is described as a unique figure, without genealogy, without beginning or end, symbolizing eternity, a prophetic image of Jesus. From chapters 5 to 7, the Epistle to the Hebrews presents the theological significance of Melchizedek as a model foreshadowing the arrival and redemptive mission of Christ. The author of the Epistle to the Hebrews compares the Levitical priesthood, based on the lineage of the tribe of Levi, with Melchizedek's priesthood, a role that existed before the Levitical system was established. The Levitical priesthood, associated with the lineage of Aaron, Moses' brother, was central to Jewish worship, focusing on rituals and sacrifices to mediate between God and the people of Israel. According to Jewish tradition, this system was established by God during the Exodus, as recorded in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, with a central role in the tabernacle and later in the Temple of Jerusalem. This comparison in the Epistle to the Hebrews highlights the superiority and eternity of Jesus' priesthood, described as in the order of Melchizedek. The author argues that Melchizedek's priesthood surpasses the Levitical priesthood in several ways. First, Melchizedek blessing Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, demonstrates his spiritual authority and special role, surpassing Levi, the forefather of the priestly lineage. Additionally, Abraham gave a tithe to Melchizedek, showing the superiority of Melchizedek's priesthood over the Israelite lineage. From this, the author asserts that Jesus, as a priest in the order of Melchizedek, transcends all limitations of the Levitical priesthood system. Another important emphasis in the Epistle to the Hebrews is the continuity and eternity of Melchizedek's priesthood, in contrast to the temporary nature of the Levitical priesthood, which is limited by death and succession through lineage. The author emphasizes that Jesus, as a priest in the order of Melchizedek, surpasses the Levitical priests because he is eternal and indestructible, not bound by death. This means he does not need to inherit the priesthood from another generation, as in the Levitical system. This theological analysis emphasizes the importance of Melchizedek's priesthood as a model for the eternal priesthood of Jesus. By linking Jesus to Melchizedek's priesthood, the author highlights the superiority and perfection of Christ's priesthood over the Levitical system, affirming the eternal and comprehensive nature of the redemptive work Jesus accomplished. Melchizedek's priesthood in the Epistle to the Hebrews serves as a vital foundation for understanding Jesus' work of redemption and intercession, providing eternal salvation and direct access to God for all believers. The theological significance of Melchizedek in this context challenges established rules within biblical tradition. He is portrayed as a unique figure, combining the roles of king and priest, a combination typically separated in the religious and political practices of that era. The story of Melchizedek's priesthood and the new covenant that Jesus established reveals theological and practical depth in the relationship between God and humanity. Melchizedek's priesthood transcends the limitations of the Levitical system, which was temporary and bound by specific rituals, time, and lineage. While the Levitical priesthood represents a religious system limited by the laws of Moses, Melchizedek's priesthood is not bound by these factors, affirming its eternal nature and its transcendence of cultural and ethnic boundaries, extending to all humanity. When Jesus fulfilled the priesthood in the order of Melchizedek, he established a new covenant that is not limited by lineage or temporary rituals. This eternal covenant offers a direct relationship between God and all people, regardless of ethnicity, culture, or time. We are invited to understand that God's plan of redemption is not aimed at one specific nation or era, but is a universal, eternal invitation unbound by any temporal patterns of the world. The new covenant is not merely liberation from rituals and regulations, but also an invitation to a dynamic and personal relationship with God, based on the eternal sacrifice of Jesus, the high priest and eternal King. This relationship is not confined by time or space, but is open to all humanity, affirming God's inclusiveness and unconditional love for everyone. Melchizedek's priesthood is not only a profound theological model, but also a practical invitation to every believer. Likewise, Jesus, as the eternal high priest in the order of Melchizedek, not only blesses us but also invites us to offer our lives as a living sacrifice, a gesture of absolute submission and infinite gratitude for his redemptive work. This is not merely a call to material offering, like the tithe Abraham gave to Melchizedek, but an invitation to offer ourselves, our hearts, minds, time, and abilities to serve God and the community. To fulfill this, we must not only live by religious principles, but also nurture a vibrant and meaningful relationship with God, acknowledging His supremacy in every aspect of life. Jesus' priesthood not only brings redemption, but also calls us into a new, meaningful life, where we are invited to live in His image, blessing and serving others, offering every aspect of our lives to God, just as He has done for us. The story of Melchizedek is indeed a profound source of inspiration, prompting reflection on the role of the priest, the mediator between God and humanity, as well as on the devotion and dedication of one's life to God. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can continue sharing profound messages from the Bible with you. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear your stories, experiences, and the goals you are pursuing in the light of God. Thanks be to God for always accompanying us on this journey, providing encouragement and peace every day.